Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're watching this. I'm Red, and today I will be reading some r/malicious compliance. Delicious malicious compliance. Okay, let's get into this. Got told to F off by my assignment group, and that's just what I did. I'm doing a computer science degree at university. We had a group work project which is set out in 2 stages. Part A involved making an application and writing a report about it, 50-50 split. Part B, we got feedback from Part A and had to improve upon it. In total, it was 100% of a module. It's also important to note that there is a group contribution report, GCR, where each student puts in how much work they think each other student has done. I was in a randomly selected group with 4 others. We each picked a part of the work that we wanted to do. I was apparently the group's most confident coder, so I assigned myself about half of the code and finished up my work in about the first 3 weeks and work on other projects I have for other modules. Then, soon after I finished my work, the others asked me if I can do their parts of the code too. I initially protest as I have my other coursework due, but eventually I say fine. But so long as it's noted in the GCR, they all agree. I sweated out over the next 3 weeks or so alongside my other coursework. I contacted my module organizer explaining that I had done half of the work, and they suggested if people weren't willing to pull their weight, to leave the group, taking my code with me, and do the report. That would mean I would need to work flat out to produce the report and probably would mess it up. I didn't want that. The deadline was in about a week, and honestly, I couldn't be bothered. Then I got asked to do some report too, because they didn't understand how the code worked. By this point, I felt pretty used by them. I didn't really mind so long as I got the marks. All in all, I worked out that I had done the workload of 3 people. There was talk amongst the others of all writing that we each contributed 20% of the workload to make us look better as a team. I flatly refused. They exploded, calling me every name under the sun, swearing at me, telling me to F off. I sent off my GCR with 60 for me and 10 for each of the rest, and thought that was that. My module organizer then emailed me asking if I had any proof of this, as they all put me at 0 and themselves at 25%. I'd worked my butt off on this project, putting in 150 plus hours on the code and another 50 plus on the diagrams and report, all while attending lectures 20 hours a week. Over 7 weeks, if you do that, maths averages out at an extra 4 hours a day, on top of all my other assignments and commitments, etc. There was no way I was letting it slide. I emailed him back linking him to the GitHub I used to share the code with the team. GitHub is a source control that shows who made changes to the code, and showed him that all the commits version of the code were done by me, proving that I did all of it. And thankfully, we did the whole report on Google Drive, so I could also see the history on that document and send him screenshots of all the alterations made by me, proving that I wrote approximately 20% of the report also. He added it all up and made a special exception for my group, saying he would give me the most credit for the work. I think I ended up with a 65, and they all got an 11 for the whole coursework Part A. They would need 69% to even pass the module. Nice. So, turned out I effed up a bit on the code, only getting about 50% of the marks with like a massive issue in it. Dumb me. For anyone interested, I didn't make an MVC structure correctly, but my report sections were near perfect. Spelling mistakes, a common thing I do, and formatting, etc. There were a few glaring mistakes from the report that they had written, but other than that, not bad. When they found out their marks, they started calling me up and emailing me and messaging me almost for about 3 hours. I was happily out at the time and didn't have my phone with me, so I didn't respond. My module organizer sent an email explaining that they had lied and he had proof about it, so corrected the marks accordingly. When I got back to my phone, I screenshot all the messages they had sent and record all the voicemails, including the ones they had sent previously, including multiple occasions where everyone in the group told me to F off. And F off I did. I sent all these voicemails and screenshots to my module organizer requesting that I leave my group and understand that it is more work for me, but I'd rather not deal with that. He agreed and also escalated the messages to someone higher up. At this point, I quit the group and decided to work on Part B by myself, taking all of my code with me, removing their access to all of it. I of course asked my module organizer first, and they said it was fine as it was my work, and if I was no longer in their group, the others couldn't submit it. I fixed the error in the code in about 2 weeks. Then did the whole report from scratch almost and added a load about the fix, taking me about 7 weeks. Then I get messages from the group to please come back, we really need you, kind of stuff on the end few days of the assignment. They even offered to pay me. I screenshot it and send it to the module organizer, just to let him know what is happening and then ignore them. I ended up submitting 2 weeks early for the deadline and got 100% on the whole section too, which is basically unheard of at university, especially by yourself for group work. Later that day, I get an email from a plagiarism and collusion officer. Not someone you ever want to get an email from. Basically says I'm summoned to a hearing as an external body looked at both my group, me, myself and I, and my old group's coursework, and thought it was very similar. I get the whole project that my group handed in and get my own back as evidence so I can look and prepare my answer to their questions. I emailed my module organizer to ask if he supports me in this because basically they can punish all of you or one group, never nobody. He says yes, he supports me in this. Perfect. I prepare for this meeting by going through the hundreds of comments I've made while they had access to find the one that is the most similar to it. I find a perfect match. 0 differences, not even a single character through the 1,000 lines of code. So I turn up to this meeting, there's the VP of computing there, guy who could basically do whatever the hell he wants to us. My old group, when asked to present their answer as to why this happened, go on about how they did all of it by themselves, blah blah blah. You get the point, this goes on for about 10 minutes. Then I'm asked to present my argument. I ask if I can share my screen. VP, yeah, okay. Puzzled. So I share it. I show all of the screenshots I took as some of the people in the meeting weren't aware that we knew each other, including them basically begging for me to come back, offering money too. And as if this wasn't enough to convince them, I then showed me downloading a fresh version of what they submitted and a fresh version of one of my commits on GitHub and running it through a trusted comparison software. I narrated this to explain what I was doing just to be clear. It took a while, but came up as I knew it would, with 0 differences. Everyone was stunned, but one of the group members uttered, "But..." I just laughed, and was quickly asked to hang up as I was no longer involved. Turned out they had cloned one of my comments and still had a copy on their laptop when I blocked their access, not being able to fix it at all, so just submitted it and hoped for the best. One of my friends, who was friends with one from my old group, asked what grade they got, and they said they failed the whole module as they got a 0 for the second section, giving them just 5.5% overall for the module. You need 40 to pass, and would have to retake it over the summer, costing them and everyone in my old group their placement year jobs. After all, who wants someone who failed a module so badly and who was intellectually dishonest working for them? This meant that they all lost out on being paid approximately 20 grand each for the year's work, which goes a long way for a uni student. Well, I happily got mine. I mean, what did they think would happen when they plagiarized someone else's work? Alright, here's our next story. Lazy manager reneges on a request after I describe what they want. This malicious compliance comes from my girlfriend Jessica. For background, my girlfriend is a software test engineer at a computer science related company. She has had a lot of jobs there, but one of them involves a review of bugs in the application, which she sees in the form of a ticket. For background, when Jessica started working at this company, her manager Bob would force every new hire to attend meetings every day, going over the ticketing system in excruciating detail, even though all of the new hires stated that they had used them before and didn't need another tutorial. This finally accumulated in her manager stating in front of the whole team that the new hires couldn't attend a meeting as they had to go over the ticketing software, and all of the new hires resoundingly stated they didn't need any more tutorials and would be able to attend, which they did. These tickets get sent to various people, test engineer managers or developers, etc. And in order for them to be closed, the bug needs to be reproduced by the person who wants to close it, and a fix to prevent the bug needs to be added to the code of the product. Here's where the malicious compliance takes place. Jessica is reviewing a ticket documenting a bug in the product and she consults her manager. The ticket gets sent to her manager, who is tasked with reproducing it in order to develop a patch for said bug. Instead of this, her manager asks her to close the ticket herself as he can't reproduce the bug. This is clearly not how the ticket reporting works, as the whole point is that open tickets have not been fixed yet. Jessica would just close it since her manager Bob told her to, and she had only worked there for a few months. The only problem with this is that the ticket reporting software requires a reason for closing the ticket to be documented, so people know who to talk to should issues occur. Since Jessica is new, people would expect her to make mistakes, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if she incorrectly closed a ticket. But she wasn't down to take the fall for something she had no control over. Since Jessica needs to add a reason for closing the ticket and doesn't want to go against the request of her manager, she writes back to him, "Sorry, you can't reproduce it. What should I do?" "Go ahead and close the ticket. Can't reproduce the bug." "Sure, since you mentioned in the tutorial on the ticketing software that all tickets require a reason for closing, I'll close it and add as a reason, Bob can't reduce the bug, and I was advised by Bob to close it." Her manager immediately replies back, as he has apparently just realized what the description of his job was, and tells her not to close the ticket and he will work immediately to reproduce the issue so it can be documented. Since this, her manager has appropriately documented every ticket she sent without any inane comments. Delicious, malicious compliance. Yeah, that was my attempt of the Homer Simpson drool sound. Yeah, it's beautiful. Well done. I did such a good job on that. I hope you guys enjoyed that r/malicious compliance, read by me, Red. Please like this video and please subscribe to my channel as well while you're there. Okay, have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.